What's up, family? It is Caden with Urban Finance. In this video, we'll be taking a look at one of the best strategies for building a strong retirement portfolio. And so we'll be looking at one of our retirement IRAs as well as a brokerage account. If you're new to the channel, I talk about everything related to financial literacy, investing, and building generational wealth. So if you haven't already, go ahead and smash the like button, subscribe to the page, and hit the bell to be notified of when I post something new. And if you want to get 2 free stocks, go ahead and sign up with Webull with the link in the description. So let's first talk about retiring early. So if you want to retire early or before the traditional retirement age of 59 and a half, then you cannot put all of your retirement money in a IRA, 401k, 403b, or traditional retirement accounts. You have to put money away in a brokerage account. But some people mistakenly believe that if you're investing in a regular brokerage account, then you actually have to buy single stocks. That is not true. You do not have to buy single stocks, and I actually wouldn't recommend it as a solid retirement strategy. Now, I believe in buying single stocks as a way to build wealth, but not necessarily as a retirement strategy. And so you have to realize, while wealth building and funding your retirement is 2 sides of the same coin, they are not the same thing. So the first step in building a strong retirement portfolio is funding your IRAs, 401ks, 403bs. And so let us take a quick look at one of my rollover IRAs. And a rollover IRA is essentially when you leave an employer, the money that was in your 401k, you place in that account and you manage it for yourself. That's why an IRA is called an individual retirement account. Now, this offers you a lot more investment opportunities. That is one reason why people would always want to roll over their 401k into an IRA. The second reason is that the 401k tend to have larger expense ratios. And so as you will see, the IRA that I have money in currently have a 0.04 expense ratio, much lower than what you may pay in a 401k at 0.7%, sometimes 1%. But let's take a look at the rollover IRA. As you can see, I own a total of 122 shares of Vanguard VFIAX 500 index fund for a total of a little above $44,000. This mutual fund tracks the S&P 500 index, and unlike its counterpart Vanguard's VOO ETF, this is not designed to be traded regularly, as you can see. That is actually one of the main differences between an ETF and a mutual fund. ETFs can be traded like stocks, but mutual fund cannot be traded like stocks. The growth in this account has been a little over $8,000 in the last 2 years. And while there are restrictions on trading, this does not mean that you cannot trade it. As you can see, there's a $500 sell transaction here, which I took money out of this particular mutual fund to put into an ETF. As you may know, if you make a short-term trade outside of an IRA, the government usually takes 30% for short-term capital tax or general income tax rates, or they may take a 15% if it's a long-term capital tax, which means that you've held that stock for over a year. But within an IRA, there are no taxes made on sales. And that is why I usually recommend that people start their investing with IRAs and not necessarily with a brokerage like Robinhood, where you get taxed on every transaction. Also notice that I have several automatic transactions set up for $375 twice a month to be placed into this fund. Making your investment automatic is another key to building a strong retirement portfolio, because when you don't have to think about it, you tend to be more successful. So this will happen every month until I reach the cap for this individual retirement account, which is a total of $6,000 this year. Now, this may change year over year, and I will probably hit this cap within 8 months. Let us also look at one of my non-retirement accounts where I'm holding 11 shares of VFIAX outside of my retirement account in a regular brokerage account for a total of $4,675. So these are the exact same mutual fund, but one is in a retirement account and the other is not. Again, when you're investing outside of retirement accounts, you do not need to just buy single stocks. You do not even need just to buy ETFs. You can actually put your money in a mutual fund. This works very well when you know you're going to be leaving these investments in there for, let's say, 5-10 years. This is not a strategy for someone who is trying to touch their investments regularly. But the idea is, if you're thinking about retirement, early retirement may be as early as 50 for you, and that may means that your money have at least 10 years to sit in this account. So look at your neighbor and say, for retirement investing, keep it simple. But if you're trying to build wealth outside of money that will potentially be used in retirement, feel free to do your own thing. Just for example, in 10 years from now, when I turn 40, let's say I want to go take a 2-year vacation, I still would not be able to touch my retirement money, but I will be able to touch the money which is in my non-retirement brokerage account. For those that are trying to retire early, you always need a fund to also supplement your traditional retirement account for early retirement. And you can set up that fund the exact same way you set up your fund for retirement. You may also notice that this mutual fund has had a 13% return over the last 10 years, which is an extraordinarily great return. Not extraordinarily high, but a great return for a solid long-term strategy. This type of return will make me a millionaire in no time. So let us also take a look at some of the companies that makes up this S&P 500 index fund, because the companies do change from time to time. Now, while we're only looking at some of the top companies, we can see that Apple makes up 6.7%. So if we had $100,000 invested in here, that will be equivalent to investing $6,700 in Apple, for instance. But we can also see other companies that make up this list: Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Facebook, Tesla, which is a recent addition. We have Alphabet, Berkshire Hathaway, Johnson & Johnson, JP Morgan Chase, Visa, Nvidia, Procter & Gamble. And so a lot of these companies are household names, as you may know. To sum up the video, for retirement investing specifically, one of the best strategies is also one of the most simple strategies: investing in funds that track the S&P 500 index, or a pretty standard and traditionally successful index like QQQ, which tracks the NASDAQ 100. This is one of the most effective strategies for long-term investing because, for example, RK ETF, which I also owned and also reviewed on this channel, charges an expense ratio of 0.75. Over a 20-year period, that is a lot of money that you're paying for that particular ETF. If they do keep a significantly higher rate of return than the S&P 500, then it may be worth it. But with the S&P 500, you can get a very good return at the cheapest price possible. And that's what makes it one of the best ETFs. Also, it has traditionally outperformed most ETF and index funds over an extremely long period of time. The other beautiful thing about it is that if you have a 401k or 403b, you can also purchase this index fund with them. You can purchase it if you have Fidelity, Charles Schwab, any of the major brokerage firms, even Webull and Robinhood. And so there's very few places where you can't actually purchase this index funds, which makes it one of the best investment strategies as well, because anyone, anywhere can pretty much pick it up. All right, family, I hope you found something helpful in this video. But if you haven't already, go ahead and smash that like button for me, subscribe to the page, and hit the bell to be notified of when I post something new. Like I always say, even in the midst of these crazy times, God bless you, and remember to live your best life.